he signed some executive order a few months ago that said, if Iran assassinates me, you are to obliterate the country. Very strange thing for a president of the United States to do.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised because, again, for a private citizen like John Bolton, especially after his service, or after his role in the White House, to have a private security detail with the Secret Service that Joe Biden extended to him is a very, very unusual thing to happen.
Because John Bolton was in the White House when the order was given to kill one of the heads of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards.
Mm-hmm.
The Iranians are patient. We saw that with Salman Rushdie.
Right.
They put a jihad on you and a fatwa on you, excuse me. And it could take decades. I don't remember if they put a fatwa on Bolton or whether there was intelligence that that he was targeted for assassination. I don't think it was a fatwa, but the truth of the matter is that he is in danger.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess we all assumed he was in danger from the Iranians, but it turns out he's actually in more danger from his own country, from a president who has invited the Iranians to assassinate him by pulling his Secret Service protection, from a FBI that has decided to raid his house in a very huge show of force.
Yeah.
And I want people to understand, listen, there are progressives that I call so-called progressives out there who are loving this, who are cheering this on because they hate John Bolton. They hate what he stands for. They hate that he's an interventionist. They hate that he's
a war hawk.
War hawk. Stop that.
Yeah.
Stop that shit now. That's not why they're raiding John Bolton's house. They're raiding John Bolton's house because he's a critic, this president, because he's asking questions about this president's foreign policy that this president does not want answered.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're happy about John Bolton being raided, understand that you're next.
Yeah.
You're next. Unless you start preaching from the MAGA choir book. I don't need to read Tim Snyder, which I have, who I think is a brilliant guy. I don't need to read Jason Stanley, who's a good friend.
Who have both left the United States.
Both left the United States, moved to Canada. I've lived it. I have lived it. Because I lived it in the Soviet Union, but more importantly, I was little. My parents lived it under Stalin. My grandparents lived it under Stalin. I know what's next. What's next is there's going to be a huge chunk of people who yesterday were going on CNN and criticizing Donald Trump, who tomorrow will not be going on CNN anymore. Because they will understand that they don't want to be part of this. They don't want to be raided.
Well, I promise you. Julie, for anybody who's watching, I worked at the Lincoln Project for 4 years. And in that first year, we found this out through the Freedom of Information Act. Somebody else had put, the request in and then let my bosses at the time, that Donald Trump had directed Mark Meadows to have Bill Barr investigate the Lincoln Project and the people who ran it. This is not this is what he does. It's that stuff is scary. And these are just people who were running a super PAC who were critical.
Making ads that Trump
making ads. Yeah. Making ads that Donald Trump didn't like. And again, this was when, Donald Trump was still in power. Bill Barr was still the attorney general. And he was, Mark Meadows made this order to him. Now, I don't think Bill Barr followed through with it, but they didn't really have enough time really to go through with it. But, these are the things I think about. And I remember being reminded more than once that it was listen, you can flip on a dime and then all of a sudden go from I hate Donald Trump to I love Donald Trump. Donald Trump, it doesn't matter because he will remember the time that you said I hate Donald Trump. And so,
well, unless you have total obeisance, right? Unless you just grovel. Right. And, I always joked when I worked at Fox. I said this to my husband actually yesterday. I said, if I had worked at Fox and all of a sudden I flipped like everybody else and I said, I love Donald Trump and he's the best, I'd probably be Secretary of State today. I mean, it's a joke, but think about how many people he's appointed.
I know, you're not wrong.
And that's what it is. That's what he wants. Now, the other joke I made to my husband is my husband yesterday was the attorney who got Alina Habba thrown out as the U.S. attorney in New Jersey. He's the one that
Amazing.
brought the case that a judge yesterday ruled that she can't be U.S. attorney anymore. And I kind of joked to my husband, I go, well, I guess we're not on the list now. Like, which one? I said to him, I go, I don't know which one of us he's going to go first. He's going to go after first now, because, I've been saying what I've been saying for years. My husband's a lawyer. This is not what he does, but he happens to bring this case because he thought it was wrong. And so I was kind of joking. I was like, I wonder which one of us he's going to target now. The whole house. And that was a joke yesterday. Today, after what we're seeing with John Bolton, it's not really a joke. It's not really a joke.
It's not.
And
yeah.
I don't want to sound alarmist, and I'm not typically an alarmist person, but we should be alarmed and I don't know about frightened. We should be determined.
Yeah.
But it's just insane. I mean, it's just insane.
Yeah.
Because it's not right.
No, and it's completely un-American. And like, this is yet again another reason why Donald Trump is so concerned about the 2026 midterms. Now, I was concerned that the 2026 midterms weren't even going to happen. But the fact that they're doing everything in their power to cheat and fix them means that they are going to happen.
They're going to happen. They're just not going to be, they're not going to allow people to vote without ID.
Right. Yep, it's going to be majorly suppressed.
Majorly suppressed. They're going to ensure that there's no vote by mail.
Mm-hmm.
Which means that if you're disabled or you're sick or whatever, you can't vote.
Which is crazy because like Trump, I mean, the Republicans have been surging in vote by mail like that. Well, it's just so stupid.
Listen,
I know.
Trump has repeatedly voted by mail. So have his adult children. Well,
right.
All his children are adult.
And like military that are,
Yeah, I mean,
it's just.
Well, no, he's going to allow military ballots in because he thinks those are his. But so the 26 elections are going to happen, but they're going to happen in the way that Saddam Hussein had elections and the Soviets had elections and Vladimir Putin has elections. They're going to make it impossible for people to vote. The Supreme Court is going to go along with it because the Supreme Court is going to go along with all of it.
Yeah, they let him do anything he wants.
Yeah.
Literally.
But, all of that is insane. It's just shocking to me that people are just kind of sitting there going ho-hum. And I think the difference is, look what's happening in Israel right now. There are tens of thousands of people in the street every night protesting not just the war in Gaza, but protesting what Netanyahu is doing in trying to effectively take over the judiciary, what Trump is trying to do.
Right.
Considering how little of a population they have, it is like some astronomical amount of people who are doing this. In Ukraine, you had people marching in the streets on a daily basis when you had a Russian influenced prime minister, Russia aligned prime minister there, president there, excuse me, that effectively made him flee and flee back to Russia. And that's how they brought democracy back to Ukraine. In France, they have protests on a daily basis. If you raise the price of bread for a second, they'll protest. They'll start burning stuff. We in this country think that the Constitution will protect us. And we've never had this happen before. So we don't have, as you always say, we have a lack of imagination. That is the best Michelle Kinney line of all time, that we have a lack of imagination in this country. And we're sitting here going, ho-hum, oh, okay, well, what, we have the Constitution will protect us. We've been so ingrained to believe the Constitution will protect us. My friends, the Constitution is a piece of paper. It is only as good as people abiding by it.
Yeah, it's the honor system. so to speak. I mean, we all have to be in agreement that we are going to abide by the laws and ideas of the Constitution, which is it's just a piece of paper. We've been in agreement for the last 249 years that this is how we are going to conduct ourselves. And it is a living, breathing document that has been amended and changed and updated to, hopefully keep up with the times. But then, these things can be used for evil. And there are evil people and there are bad people who are using the Constitution to their will and moving the goalposts and pushing the limits to what can we get away with? What can we get away with? And then
we
they
have a
watch
court that allows it.
yeah, right. The Supreme Court allows it. And the American people, I think, especially after this last election, looked around and were like, oh, I guess this is just like how things are now. And I think that anybody who was feeling galvanized against this guy or MAGA or anything just felt the wind completely leave their sails. And people just gave up and just want to go live about their lives. But there are still millions of us who are not and are not going to put up with this. And as this chilling effect is going to happen, and as alarmed as we should be, to your point, Julie, being alarmed should not paralyze us and it should not silence us, because that is exactly what they want. And someone in the chat just asked, like, are they going to come for all of us? Are they going to come for you? Like, I mean,
maybe.
I mean, again, like when I was at LP, right, I was the creative director, and I was responsible for placing a lot of the ads, like at Mar-a-Lago or Bedminster, and like he would react to us and he would write terrible things on Truth Social, like calling us perverse or whatever. It was just ridiculous, and I never was scared. In fact, like I welcomed the criticism from him. But Seneca Project, since Tara and I left and we're doing our own thing with women and the things that we care about that are more aligned with our, the things that matter to us, we placed an ad at Bedminster a couple weekends ago, and it was the first time that I felt different. I was like, this is different. This is different this time.
Different
He's
how?
president. Well, he's president now.
Oh.
He's president now, and my name's on the door. My name's on the door. You know what I mean? Like it's a different kind of risk. And he wasn't there. I don't know if he saw it. I'm sure his people did, but but it's not going to stop us. We're going to keep going. Audit me, whatever. I don't care. Like, go ahead.
By the way, does anybody seriously doubt that they will find something at John Bolton's house?
Of course. They'll put. Listen, I don't doubt that they would plant something there.
Yeah, of course they will. And that will be the predicate to indict John Bolton. And that will be the predicate to imprison John Bolton for many years. I mean, intelligence sharing illegally or taking illegal intelligence information. Of course they will.
Mm-hmm. And this is also like, the liberals, people on the left who were, clutching their pearls after Joe Biden, pardoned all the people that he pardoned, including members of his own family. I'm like, are you looking at what is happening now? And can you blame him?
No, I don't blame him.
Of course he did.
No, I don't blame him at all.
And like, listen, our friend Denver Riggleman got one of those pardons. Only because he did nothing wrong and he didn't want it. But he was part of the January 6th committee. And so he was on that list. And so, Joe Biden rightfully protecting these people who did the right thing for America. And, there is a lot. Listen, it's Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, James Comey, there's a list.
Look what they're doing with Epstein. So Jim Comer, the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, who is it's
like a goober.
Yeah, but he's also like one of Trump's biggest allies.
I know.
In the House, has convened a hearing on Epstein, and he's asked for all of the Epstein documents to be delivered to him now. if we know Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files because we know that Pam Bondi told Donald Trump his name's
And
in it.
the people at the FBI have seen it. That's
And
the
there's
other part of it that is just crazy.
a thousand people in the Southern District of New York had to review all those files. So if they think those things are going to be kept private, that's hilarious. But by the way, this John Bolton raid is probably also a message to those people that, hey, if you have that information, you're thinking about releasing it, think twice because we're going to raid your house and come after you. Mm-hmm. So don't think this has nothing to do with the Epstein files because it has everything to do with that as well.
Yep.
But he is coming for the following people because Jim Comer subpoenaed the following people to either be deposed or to testify in the Epstein files. Bill and Hillary Clinton, Jim Comey, Robert Mueller, Bill Barr, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, yes, he like all of Obama's attorneys general, and I think the attorneys general from his first term as well. None of whom he likes, including Bill Barr. So what I find fascinating, and by the way, Bill Barr already was deposed, and Comer put out that he said nothing, that Trump was never involved in the Epstein files or was never involved with Epstein. There's no evidence. And Bill Barr actually put out words saying that's not true. That's not what I said.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
Wow. I didn't know that.
So, yeah. So just understand how much Comer is part of this cover up where he's already lying about not just Barr, but also the ranking member.
Well, and Julie, on this point, I would love to ask you about your former colleague, Dan Bongino. Because a couple of people have brought him up in the chat, and they are increasingly pushing him to the sidelines. Is that what you're seeing? Because he's the deputy director of the FBI, for anybody who doesn't know this. And he came forward and said that what he saw in the Epstein files like changed him forever. And he was, shaken to his core. But like, we're not seeing anything else from him now.
Well, so I'm going to drop another Substack that I did on this. Because what a coincidence, I've been writing.
Yeah, please. I mean, if you guys don't subscribe to Julie's Substack,
Salty Politics.
It's Salty Politics. Julie's, I mean, I'm not just blowing smoke here. Julie's so smart and she knows her shit. And like, she writes every day almost, right? Oh, it's like every day. No, it's great.
It's every day.
It's great. Do you get up in the morning and write?
No, I write all day in between doing work, and then I schedule it for the following morning.
God bless. God bless.
Thank you.
But anyways, Dan Bongino, I would love to know.
Dan Bongino. So I wrote a Substack. I just dropped it in, but I'll just summarize it. I know Dan Bongino from my Fox days. That's the beauty of having worked at Fox. Like, you come across all of these people.
Hey, you know the whole cabinet because that's where they work now.
It's their house. Let me tell you, it's an interesting house. So Dan Bongino is not stable. I just want to start with that as a predicate. Like, what you see is not an act. He is crazy not. He's not a stable man. He's angry. He has a chip on his shoulder, a massive chip on his shoulder, because I guess he was fired by the Obamas from the Secret Service.
Oh, right. Yeah, he was Secret Service.
So he is somebody with an agenda, and the agenda is self-validation. I mean, remember Kill Bill? I hate Tarantino movies, but he's basically
that was the good one though.
But he's basically Uma Thurman from Kill Bill. Like, he's just out of blood. Yeah. A lot. By the way, so is Donald Trump. I mean, a lot of these people, not a good way to run the government.
I wish there were more like good people out.
Bongino's entire very lucrative podcast career, which he launched after Fox made him a rock star with Hannity. It's interesting. He got hired at Fox. He was not a contributor. He was not working at Fox when I was there. He would just appear on Hannity's radio show, and he would appear on Hannity all the time. After I left, I guess my understanding is Hannity got him hired. And I think the only show he ever was on was Hannity, because nobody else wanted that shit show on their own show. And I may be wrong, but I think he was mostly on Hannity. And from there, he launched this very lucrative podcast career.
Yeah.
He was making millions upon millions of dollars, effectively predicated on the fact that the deep state was covering up the Epstein files.
Right. That was his shtick.
That was what made him very rich. Then Trump stupidly, I guess I've never actually listened to the podcast, makes him the deputy director of the FBI. Well, if you're Dan Bongino's listeners, this is the best thing that's ever happened, because finally
Finally, right.
Your guy is going to be on the inside to blow all this up, to blow up Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, to blow up Bill Gates, to blow up, I don't know who this conspiracy theorists thought were in there. Maybe they are. I don't know. But finally, all of these people were going to be held to account because Dan Bongino was going to come in and tell the truth. Now, Dan Bongino has obviously seen those files. And Dan Bongino's in a really big bind because Dan Bongino has been bitching and moaning about how, this job doesn't pay him anything. He's working so hard. He never sees his wife, and so on. But Dan Bongino also kind of made it clear that he, I think, kind of wanted to go back to his podcasting days. He can't do that with any credibility unless he blows the lid on the Epstein files because that's what they all expect of him.
Yeah.
So he's in a really big bind. On the one hand, he's incredibly loyal. He's a charter member of MAGA, loyal to Trump. On the other hand, what's he going to do?
Right.
What's he going to do? So if
he can't blow the whistle. I mean, he could, but he can't. He can't.
Listen, if this were Russia, I hate to say this, Dan Bongino would be falling out of a window right now because I think they can't trust him to keep his mouth shut because he is unstable.
Right. And they just implemented another deputy director of the FBI.
And they just to overlay him.
Right.
Because he's had his whole falling out with Bondi. And I guess he's had a falling out with Kash Patel, which is interesting because Kash Patel was the other one who was constantly talking about the Epstein files. But Patel's gotten with the program. Bongino has not gotten with the program.
Right.
Because Bongino, I think, sees his future and understands he can't go back to just being a podcast. I mean, I guess he could, but his audience is going to demand.
Right. He would have to be, MAGA, isn't who you, I mean, he would have to go on the outside of MAGA and start talking.
I mean, think about it. What's he going to say? I mean, clearly he's on his way out. They can't fire him because he knows too much.
Yeah. They're going to push him out.
So they're overlaying him and they're making his life difficult and he's going to ultimately leave. But I'm telling you, this is a man with a massive chip on his shoulder. That's what happened to him in the Obama White House. He was effectively sidelined and I think fired eventually. And he can't go through this. I mean, I don't think he mentally can handle going through this again. By the way, I don't think any of us can mentally handle go through that again.
Oh my God, no.
But I mean, imagine the worst thing that happened to you, which, we've talked about happening again. None of us, it's awful. Not that I have any sympathy for Dan Bongino, but this is not a man who's already stable to begin with.
Right.
He's going to blow. Now, I don't know what he's going to go blow with. Obviously, everything he saw in the Epstein files is classified or confidential because he saw it in his capacity as an FBI director or deputy director. But this guy is not stable. Who knows what he's going to say? It's not, by the way, it's not an act. A lot of these guys that you watch on Fox, I can tell you, chapter and verse where the act is and who really is a true believer. This guy is not an act.
Yeah. You can tell. You can tell.
So, look, ultimately, I think what we're dealing with here is a signal to Dan Bongino that you better shut the fuck up. Because if Bolton could get raided, you're next.
Yep.
It is a message to anybody who's a critic of Trump. And I'm telling you right now, John Bolton was on Caitlin Collins all the time on her show on CNN. Doing really good analysis, by the way. I mean, again, I don't agree with a lot of what he says. You don't have to like John Bolton.
Right.
To understand the guy has a perspective because of years being involved in the in foreign diplomacy.
And he's not stupid. And he also wouldn't, I truly don't believe he would do anything to harm the United States of America. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing about it. I think he's actually an honest guy.
He's a patriot. He is. You know what? He is. He's not going to harm this country. This country wants to harm him. Yeah. That's why they took this protection away so the Iranians could go kill him. But he's not that guy. He will be portrayed as that guy.
Yeah.
They will find something at his house that they
he's a traitor. He's this. Traitor, he's
that. They will find something. But the point that I was trying to make is, he was on Caitlin Collins' show all the time. Which, by the way, if people don't watch, I actually really like Caitlin Collins' show.
I do too. I think she's great.
I think she's really good.
I admit that I was wrong because in the beginning I was like, I don't know about that, but she's fantastic.
I really like her. I really like Erin Burnett's show. I think they're both doing very serious, good, smart journalism.
In a time where people are so deeply unserious, I welcome that kind of reporting.
So I think both of them are doing great work at CNN. The kind of work that CNN should be doing 24 hours a day. But I will say to you that I don't think, what's today, Friday? I don't think tonight and Monday night, you're going to see many people who used to be on those shows come on those shows again to criticize Trump. Because this is a signal to all of them to shut up. And,
to their own detriment. Like, again, I just,
Michelle, you will be, and I will be found to have cheated on our taxes, or we will have been found to, I don't even know what else they could do, right? It's probably taxes are the easiest. Neither of us has any classified information, but that's where it's going to start. The IRS, which has been gutted.
Right. I was like, does anyone even work there anymore? But yeah.
Going to be deployed. Yes, the people who work there will be deployed to go after people like us. They're not going to be deployed to go after Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or people who don't pay any taxes or your regular tax cheat who just doesn't, pay taxes for 5 years. In fact, I have known several people who got busted by the IRS because they just don't file their taxes for 5 years. Those people are going to be okay because what's left of the IRS is going to be deployed to go after people like us.
Yeah.
And, whether it's a prison sentence or it's just a huge fine or it's going to cost you a lot of money to deal with, to try to fight, it will be designed to make our lives unpleasant at best and break our lives up at worst.
And yeah, I totally expect it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, dig all you want, you're not going to find anything, but they'll make something up.
They'll make something up. You know what? You probably forgot. You probably got $5 that you didn't report somewhere along the way, right? When you were a waitress and your tips.
Oh, right.
Shit like that.
Right.
I think it's a 5-year limit, so I think you're okay. But I mean,
that was like 15 years ago. But to your point, I mean, I get what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. So they can listen. As I've said before, my husband is a criminal defense lawyer, and he jokes that we all break about 20 federal laws that we don't even know about a day.
I believe it.
We just do. There are things that we don't even know about that we do that are, and they'll find something. I mean, they'll find something that you didn't even know was something. And that's the problem. And it's not just the people coming on these shows. It's the mainstream media, which is increasingly owned by people who have much larger interests than they used to have. So CNN is owned by Warner Brothers Discovery. Warner Brothers Discovery is a massive firm where CNN is a tiny little cog in their wheel.
Yep.
And if the people at Warner Brothers Discovery, like David Laszlo and all these other people, want a merger that somebody has to approve in the administration, if they have to sacrifice CNN for it or tell CNN to tone it down, they will, because CNN is not profitable and a lot of their other properties are profitable. And to stay profitable, they need to, do what the administration wants. We obviously saw that with Paramount, with 60 Minutes.
Yeah.
Which has now been sold to Skydance, which is, basically run by a guy who's a huge ally of the president.
Yeah.
We saw that with ABC settling their lawsuit with Trump over the fact that Stephanopoulos said that Trump
said something that was true and would not have held up in court, but they were like, okay, well, let's just do a bribe then instead.
Yeah.
We're just going to give him a $15 million bribe.
Yeah. And because Disney has much bigger priorities than ABC. Thank you, Heidi. And what you have effectively is a mainstream media, Washington Post. We all see what's happening. I mean, the exodus of everybody go to the Washington Post because Jeff Bezos is now determined he's going to put a bunch of Trumpers in to run the Post. He's determined that the Post now has to have a policy of not criticizing the president effectively. So the New York Times is the last entity standing because they're owned by a family who doesn't have any other interests except the fact that they own the New York Times. The New York Times actually is very profitable. So the Salzburgers own it, and that's all they do. And they don't care because, they can't threaten the Salzburgers with other business interests because this is their business.
This is their right. It's so funny. I had a friend who just interviewed there for a job out, not as a journalist, but something else. And he was surprised at the salary, how much it was. because he's like,
Yeah.
I don't think of journalism being, or like a, being
Yeah.
something that pays well, but they did. And I was like,
Well,
oh, so that makes sense that you saying that.
who
Yeah.
really pays well is Bloomberg. They poach a lot.
Mm,
They push a lot of people from the Times because of that.
mm,
So, but what's interesting is, Times aside, which I think it does do good work, although I think they should be focused a little bit more on, for example, what the hell happened in the Beast. Maybe they are. I don't know. Listen, I don't want to. They
listen, I don't have a ton of hope.
Yeah, but what I find fascinating is that the mainstream media is dead. It's
Mm.
dead. And I'm not just saying this because we have this podcast, and I'm not just saying this because obviously more and more I'm doing this and less of CNN and MSNBC.
Mhm.
But it is really it's really depressing in many ways,
Yep.
because these are the people who have the resources. Like, CNN is the most resourced place on earth. They have
Serious news. Serious news.
aside from the New York Times, they have, and maybe even more than the New York Times, they have bureaus everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, everywhere. If you ever travel abroad and you watch CNN abroad, they have anchors reporting from like sitting in Calcutta. They have
Yeah.
sitting in like Bahrain. I mean, they have bureaus everywhere.
I don't know about you, Julie, but like anytime something like newsy happens, like what was
You go to
going on in
CNN.
Israel, I go to CNN. See,
You go to
if it's
CNN.
Israel,
Yeah.
Israel or Ukraine, whatever. Yeah.
But how much longer is that going to last when they are being told effectively to tone it down?
Yeah.
And Wisdom, you're right. PBS is unmatched. PBS is fantastic. They're defunding PBS for that reason.
Yeah.
I mean, how much longer is PBS going to be around? I mean, NewsHour, I agree, is the best newscast, bar none. How much longer is that going to be around?
Is it Christine Amanpour? Is she?
No.
Or she does something else.
No, she's at CNN. I mean, Christiane Amanpour is at CNN, but I don't. Maybe she's on there sometimes. But
Yeah, I just feel like she does something that airs on PBS.
Yeah,
Anyways,
probably does. Anyway, but the point is, look, this is it. What's happening with Bolton now? It is about so much more than John Bolton. And somebody in the chat said that there are people who, I guess, the Young Turks or whoever those guys are, I don't really know them, but are sitting there celebrating this because they think he's a warmonger and he's pro-Israel and yada yada. And like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This is like being in a concentration camp and be like, oh, I'm glad that guy went to the gas chamber because, I didn't like him because he wronged me back, in 1936. We had a dispute over, some financial dealings together. Like, no, it's all of us.
Well, and this is the thing too, and it should be a lesson. I mean, yes, John Bolton worked for Donald Trump in his first administration, but Dan Bongino being a longtime ally and sycophant for Donald Trump and MAGA, and look what is happening to him. So, it hasn't been like overtly obvious maybe to people who aren't paying attention, but MAGA will eventually come for you. And this is what happens in every authoritarian regime, is that circle, that first outer circle, it was like the night of the long knives.
Long knives. Oh, listen,
right?
Hitler killed everybody who enabled his rise to power.
Mhm.
In the night of the long knives. All of the Bolsheviks that overthrew the Tsar and were with Lenin during the Russian Revolution were murdered by Stalin.
Mhm.
So was most of his inner circle, just because he was paranoid.
Yep.
So
they run out of people to conquer. So they just start
come for
conquering
you.
the people that are nearest to them.
They always come for you. And let me tell you something else. So, and this is from my Fox days.
Mhm.
When Roger Ailes, who was the head of Fox, and I have to be careful because I have an NDA, but I think I can talk about this. When Roger Ailes was the head of Fox, and he thought that you weren't particularly loyal or that you were raising issues that you didn't want to raise, he didn't fire you off the bat. What he would do is he would put your show in a really bad time slot. And then he wouldn't give you the producers to make that show a success. Then he wouldn't give you the guests to make that show a success. And then he would basically deplete any resources. He wouldn't promote the show. The show was basically...
It's like ice you out.
Yeah. Well, the show was basically created so that your ratings would suck. So that then he would say, well,
And that gives them like, probable
yeah,
cause
so
to,
and so's not cutting it, so the ratings suck. So obviously that person's got to go, even
right.
though it was made to have the ratings suck. I mean, it was so obvious that that's what was going on. I have a very good friend who was put in that situation. There are other people who were put in that situation. That is what Trump is doing with Bongino.
Mm.
He can't fire him outright because that would look very suspicious after Bongino went public about what he saw and how horrified he was.
Right.
So what he's doing is he's making Bongino fail by saying, we're going to overlay you. We're going to take away all of your responsibilities. We're going to make your life a living hell. We're going to ice you out from meetings with Pam Bondi. We're going to ice you out from meetings with your boss, Kash Patel. Instead of you, we're going to send this other guy who's a MAGA loyalist, who's your now co-deputy executive director, to all those meetings. And you, Dan Bongino, are going to sit at your desk, twiddling your thumbs with access to nothing and no resources. And then after that, we're going to say, well, Dan, you know what? You're not really cutting it. And it seems to me like you don't really want to be here anyway. And so why don't we amicably part ways? Now, you can do that only as long as Dan Bongino is not a crazy, unstable person.
Right.
But he is. And what happens is, I think Dan Bongino is going through what he went through with being humiliated in his mind by Obama.
Mm-hmm.
And, a man like that cannot be afford to be made to look ridiculous. That is his thing. He wants to be somebody.
Right.
He's got big man complex. And right now they're demeaning him and making him a little man. And, but it's a message so I think this Bolton thing in some ways is also a message to Bongino. Hey, Dan,
yeah,
we're going to do what we want to you and you better shut up. We know you're not stable. We know you're prone to potentially going out there and blowing the lid. You do that and you're going to end up like Bolton.
Yep. And I wonder how quickly the people at Fox will turn on Dan Bongino too once they're told to by Donald Trump. And again, I have to look at a guy like Dan Bongino who is such a true believer, like you said, to see all of these people that he has worked next to, that he's probably called good friends, colleagues, trusted allies, all turn their backs on him because Donald Trump told them to. I mean, his whole world view is going to be turned upside down. I mean, I don't feel bad for him, but
yeah,
that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty awful. It's pretty awful.
It is. And, like we said in the beginning, this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. The John Bolton's home being raided at dawn this morning is just the beginning.
And they raided Dawn to catch you unaware.
Mm-hmm. And he wasn't home, by the way.
Was anybody home?
I don't think so. He was not home. That's what I think NBC was reporting this morning. He was not home. Peter Alexander. I think George Conway was, because I don't know, he posted on Twitter like an iPhone video from outside. So I don't know how close he was, but
to each other.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Did they break down the door?
I don't know. Probably. It's what is sorry, just really quick.
Who knows?
Anything? Everything?
I don't know if they're looking for anything or they're going to put something there.
Mm-hmm.
We'll put it past them.
Yep. And this too. They probably have found some leverage on Bongino in order to keep him from talking.
Probably. But even if they haven't, they have all the leverage they need. Look at what's happening to John Bolton, Dan. You want this to happen to you? I don't think so.
Yeah. It's very, I mean, in addition to being a very fascist or authoritarian tactic, it's very mob-like, right? It's like, it'd be a shame, it'd be a shame if that happened to you.
Yeah. And let's not forget where Donald Trump learned his business acumen from back in the construction days.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Bolton's not a dummy.
Right.
Bolton probably foresaw this happening.
Mhm.
And the question is, what happens now?
Yep. Yep.
And it,
I'd love to have a chance soon to talk to our friend Denver Riggleman because I would love to know what he thinks about this too.
yeah, I'd love to have a chance to talk to my friend Abby Lowell to see, as an attorney who's defended all these kinds of people, what he thinks Bolton's next move on this is.
Mhm.
Because Bolton's going to have to get a lawyer. He's in the fight of his life.
Yep.
There's going to be something. I mean, they're not doing this unless they're not going through this exercise. Well, actually, that's not true. They may be going through this exercise just to scare the shit out of others.
Yeah.
But I think in order to really scare people, they need to do something with Bolton. They need to arrest Bolton.
Mhm.
And to arrest Bolton, they need evidence of something to arrest him with.
Right. And I'm interested in, because I don't know this yet. Maybe it's been reported. What judge gave the warrant or allowed them to go in? Because a judge had to allow them to go in.
That's a great question. What kind of judge was it?
Mhm.
But I don't, if the FBI comes to you and says we have probable cause to believe that there's classified information,
Yeah.
the judge will probably give them a warrant. I mean, I
Mhm.
don't think it's unreasonable to do,
Yeah.
but it's interesting to see. Yeah, that's a great question. Was it a Trump judge? Was it a judge who asked questions?
Mhm.
Did they have to get the judge up in the middle of the night to say this is an emergency? Was this done? Was this warrant? When was this warrant issued? Also,
Right. Right. Right.
and I don't, these are all great questions, Michelle, that we don't have the answers to right now.
Yeah.
But it's a very strange time in our
It's
lives.
strange, it's uncertain, it's you know, you think about just a year in the future and you're like, what are our lives going to be like? Like, what am I these are things I think about all the time. And I'm sure you do too, especially as a mom and and your past and where you come from in the Soviet Union. It's like you just think like how far in advance can I plan my life? I mean, but you make plans and then you just live
Well,
your life and you hope,
for,
hope for
for
the
me,
best.
for me, I didn't think that I would ever have to. I mean, the most traumatic experience of my life that's been with me for my whole life, probably
Right.
colored every aspect of my life. Not that this is a therapy session, but it's just a fact.
Yeah.
Is the whole immigration process, is having to leave everything I knew behind to go live in
Mhm.
another country, knowing that I'd never be able to come back to the country where the only country I ever knew, and never seeing my family and so on. I have never thought in the back of my mind that that couldn't happen again.
Mm.
Because I think if you went through that, you're constantly like, well,
Right.
this might have to happen again. I think that's what's so traumatic about it, right? That it's not
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
past. I might have to do it again. I might have to uproot my whole life and go somewhere else. And I don't want to. I love this
Yeah.
country like only like an immigrant can.
Mhm.
Um, I will fight for this country, but if it means protecting my family, I'm going to have to go. And
Yeah.
I'm never going to stop speaking. I
Of
mean, that's
course. No.
that's
No.
never going to happen.
Well, and that's Timothy Snyder, Jason Stanley, your friend, when they talked about this, and there, if I urge people to go find the short video on the New York Times that they did with them talking about this, is that it was important for them because, and they picked up and left and went to the University of Toronto, um, that they set up kind of a home base in Canada, like a safe place for them to continue to do their work outside the country. And that really struck me. Um,
Can I just say something about MJ? MJ said at least you can pick up and leave. Most can't. Actually, I can't pick up and leave. I mean, my whole life is here. My husband
yeah.
not going anywhere. I mean, he looks at me like I'm crazy when I suggest it. I have elderly parents who are in no position from a health perspective to pick up and move to another country.
Yeah.
Can't leave them behind. I'm an only child.
Mhm.
My job is here. I don't know how I would make a living. I don't have dual citizenship anywhere else. It's not like I can go live somewhere and be a citizen there. So the answer is no. I'm in the same boat as everybody else. I can't leave.
Yeah.
Um,
It's very hard to do. Like,
but let me just finish this.
yeah, sorry.
We left with $90 in our pocket
Mhm.
when we came here. So in the back of my mind, I guess if I have to, that will happen again.
Yeah.
So I'm in the same boat as you. You could get a plane ticket, I guess, save up for one and go somewhere.
Yeah, but then
And then
what?
And that's the same
hide
boat.
out.
That,
Like, you know what I mean?
that's the same boat that we're all in, right? Like I can get a plane ticket and go where?
Yeah.
Canada, France, okay. And then what?
Right.
I have a 13-year-old who doesn't speak a foreign language. So he's taking Latin, which is not particularly helpful in this scenario. So
No,
yeah.
no.
So what are we doing? So I just want to be very clear, same boat as everybody else.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just have a different mentality, which is if I have to do it, I will do it and I will figure out something.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's I always think in the back of my mind too is just like keep making plans and live your life as you always would. Alexander Hamilton, the morning that he went to the duel over in New Jersey, he had a meeting planned for that afternoon. You know what I mean? It's just you make plans and you just you keep on keeping on.
Yeah. And Rosie, you said Palestine. You sound very much like people's cries in Gaza. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm not disagreeing with you. What's happening in Gaza with them trying to resettle them in other countries is ridiculous. I mean, it's
Insane.
insane. Insane from a security perspective, insane from a humanitarian perspective, insane for the safety of Israel, insane for the safety of the Palestinians. That you're not getting an argument from me.
Yeah.
But
I think of the Ukrainians too. I mean, I think about just being invaded, like how they were, and terrorized, like just
and having to pick up and go
to
Poland and go somewhere.
And people with their pets, like living in the underground, like it's just, you know what I mean? It's
And Heidi, you said your parents had several friends who walked across borders to flee Europe. My great aunt walked from the shtetl in Russia to what was then Palestine. Yeah.
Wow.
Walked in 1923. Wow. So I get it. We got on a plane in the middle, in the early dawn hours on February 15th, 1980, and went to Austria. That was the first place that would take us. And we had a refugee visa. We got the hell, we were very lucky to be able to flee the Iron Curtain, but I will never forget. I mean, literally the most seminal probably memory of my life. I will never forget landing in Vienna, in an airport in Vienna. I was 6 years old. I've just been told that I would never see my grandparents who had raised me again because they could not leave. They were not given permission to leave. I was with my parents who I didn't know as well as I should have because I was living and raised by my grandparents. And we landed, and I will never forget looking at my parents. My mother was 33. My father was 35. In retrospect, that seems very young. And seeing just the look of fear and uncertainty on their faces and realizing at the age of 6, holy shit, they don't know any more than I do, and I'm on my own. And I'm telling you that story because that is what happens to every single child who has to flee their country. They look at their parents and they realize their parents are just as confused and just as scared as they are.
Yeah.
And the fact that all of us might have to think about doing that because of what's happening in this country
is real.
Crazy. But it's real and it's happening.
Yeah.
It's only been 7 months, you guys.
And I think a lot of people think, oh, well, it's just another 3 years. And I'm like,
no, it's not.
He has no plan of leaving.
He's not leaving.
And that's why he's so dead set on making sure they keep the House in 2026 so that they will certify the election results in 2028. Because he's going to run again and the Republicans are going to allow it.
Yep.
And that's the reality.
And that's the reality. And to anybody, and I know there are a lot of our Democratic friends who are appalled at what Gavin Newsom is doing and appalled at what Kathy Hochul is thinking about doing, and how, including Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's, we can't, two wrongs don't make a right. And we've got to.
Nina Turner is out here like clutching her pearls. I'm like, what?
You know what?
Stop
with the pearl clutching. You guys, this is a war.
Yeah.
It's a war. It's not a violent war, but it is a war.
Not yet.
I'm not suggesting anybody get violent, but you have to have a war mentality about this. Was Harry Truman right to drop those nuclear weapons on Hiroshima and Nagasaki and cause a ton of death and a ton of pain to end a war that otherwise would have probably cost another, 10 million, 20 million lives.
I know. Listen, both my grandfathers were sitting in boats in the Pacific.
Yeah. I mean,
I think about it all the time.
so think about that. Think about that. We're, you know, were the Allies right to bomb Dresden and cause mass destruction there to end the war?
Hmm.
You got to end this. They can't get away with this. They will not stop.
No, they won't. They won't. And if we don't fight back, it will be our children, grandchildren that will have to do it for us. And we cannot be the generation who allowed this to go on.
No,
We
and
just can't.
Stan, you said, you know, he may have no plans, but his life itself has a plan in the cankles. Yeah, you know what? Okay.
That's real.
If he dies, guess who replaces him? Guess
J.D.
who
Vance.
replaces him? A 40-something-year-old guy who is controlled
Yeah,
by people who think that all of us should be used as biofuel.
that's real.
And that is not a joke. Curtis Yarwin, who Michelle talks about all the time, is the intellectual guru for
Mhm.
Peter Thiel, who
Yep.
controls J.D. Vance.
Yep.
So don't think that it's going to get any better if Trump suddenly leaves the scene.
The only thing
It might get worse.
I think that it will, but I do think that the thing in our favor with that is JD Vance is not liked. He is not liked by the base. MAGA doesn't trust him, I don't think.
It doesn't matter because he will have control over the
Well,
level.
right. Yes. But
Yeah.
it looking forward, let's say that doesn't happen. Like if JD Vance is like the rightful, like, you know, he's going to carry MAGA on after Donald Trump, like after whatever, he's going to run for president or whatever. I don't think that JD Vance has much of a future. I mean, I could be wrong, but he's
Yeah.
nobody likes him.
Well, listen,
We'll see.
I don't know. We'll see. On that note, I got to
Yeah.
run.
Yep.
You guys, thank you so much for joining us here on Mayday. If you have not yet subscribed to the Mayday Network on YouTube,
Mhm.
please do.
Yeah.
It is where we're going to be hosting in the next coming weeks. We're going to be moving everything over.
At
Coffee
and Conversation. Spread the word because
to those of you who've been watching us on the Seneca Project YouTube, like that's not going to be happening on Seneca anymore.
Mhm.
So please just watch us on Mayday.
Yep.
Same thing, same people, same everything.
Same thing.
Just subscribe to Mayday. We'd be really grateful if you could.
Yeah.
And we will see you all, I guess, tomorrow morning, right?
Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Mm-hmm.
Protect Seneca. Oh yeah, we're not, this is not a Protect Seneca thing. Seneca does its thing. So first of all, I don't work for Seneca, so it's kind of weird and Joe doesn't either. So it's kind of weird for us to be doing this on Seneca. Seneca is designed to create wonderful ads.
Yeah, we're a super PAC. Right. Seneca Project is a super PAC, and we create content, and we are under like the laws of the Federal Election Commission, and we have FEC laws that we have to abide by, and like all different kinds of things. So we want to set up a separate thing that is outside of that we can create content that is completely outside the purview of the Seneca Project, that involves more people, more thoughts, more ideas. More points of view. Julie and myself, Tara, Marcus Flowers will be with us. Like there's going to be more people.
Denver Riggleman, people like that.
Denver Riggleman's coming with us. So please Seneca Project is going to be just fine and great. And we're going to keep doing what we're doing there. But like the actual content streaming shows and stuff, we're going to put over here just to keep it all separate.
And if you watch like Ogle Latman and me, we're going to over to Mayday. So just subscribe. There's so many smart people.
This is a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing. And again, Seneca is Michelle and Tara.
Mm-hmm.
That's Michelle and Tara. This is much more than that. So definitely still subscribe to Seneca, because Seneca stuff.
Yeah, please do. We need you.
Please, for these shows and things like this, just come to Mayday. We are so deeply grateful to all of you. We'll keep an eye on what's happening if we need to jump back on because they've thrown John Bolton to the ground. And
we'll be back.
We'll be back.
I know. I've got my lights set up. I'm not taking them down.
All right, everybody. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Stay safe, everyone.